So you pronounce your name, wait, Mike Schill, right? Just to be straight here.
Yeah, Mike Schill,
Mike.
Schill, like chill, and then an S in the front, so Schill. Yes,
All right,
sir.
cool. Mike Schill.
Yes,
So you know a lot about sales. You worked with Grant Cardone, and I think a lot of
yeah.
entrepreneurs, sales is a huge part of it, right? And
No,
if you like it or
totally.
not, I think you have to be a good salesman to be an entrepreneur because at the end of the day, you're selling a service or a product,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
you need to know sales. So before we even talk about how you got into sales and entrepreneurship, you first started out as a college football player, right? You're a former
Yeah.
Florida State University player.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Go Nose, man. But absolutely, I was over there for a little bit, and nose till I die, man. Nose till I die.
So how is that transition? I heard like being a student athlete is crazy. It's mad work. Of course, you don't get paid as a student athlete, but you can get a full ride scholarship, and it's mad
Mm-hmm.
work, especially practicing every day, traveling across the nation to play games, and studying. Right. So do you think that work ethic, being a student athlete, has really helped you become the person you are today?
No, totally, man. Totally, man. I mean, that would probably be the number one thing gained. There's so many things you learn when given that opportunity in college, and I would say one of the number one things is the work ethic, and you immediately apply that to whatever else you're doing outside of sports and after sports, and it's man, life is a game. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same situation. So you literally attack your day to day like you attack a ball game. And just that drive and that dedication to it, it's exact, man.
Mm-hmm.
You see a lot of guys who say that they've had that experience and then they just apply that to their normal whatever it is that they do and they succeed. So that work ethic is number one, and that's what I focus on every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And did you have aspirations to be a pro player?
I mean, yeah. I had an injury via the knee, and so obviously when you have an injury at ACL, MCL, patellofemoral ligament, that kind of changed a couple of things. Everybody always wants to get to the top of anything that you do, so
Mm-hmm.
it would be a lie to say otherwise. But yeah, hey, what you just pivot and you turn and you know now
Yeah.
now I'm at the top in a different way, so it's good. It's good.
So how did you get into sales? Let's put it that way. How did you get into sales? How did you meet Grant Cardone? Were you a business major or did you just, want to do sales? How did it come about?
Nah, man. It was after college. I was doing a lot of orthopedic and pharmaceutical sales um, after college, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my major is biology and exercise science. So dad works in open heart surgery. Always been around the medical space. And with that being said, after college, um, went into orthopedic and pharmaceutical sales. So that was the first job I've had, real job I had post college and post trade school and post doing a little bit of the sports after college and whatnot. Um, it was sales. Never really understood or knew who Grant Cardone is until much later into the game. But sales was my first job, number one, from day one. It's the only thing really that's out there when you first get out of college. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I got started.
So when you got started in the game of sales, what did they teach you? I mean, was it literally you had warm leads, you did cold calls, or you had a
Nah,
warm lead?
there was no teaching. That's one thing that you do realize when you do get most sales jobs is the teaching is usually product knowledge and industry specifics, a little bit in regards to how to consummate a deal, how to take an individual from initial point of contact to ultimately closing a sale. But as far as any type of ongoing consistent training, that wasn't the case. It's eat or be eaten, throw you out there and get the job done, or someone else will do the job for you. So not a ton of training, but you learn as you go. When you got boots on the ground and you're in front of people and you assess the situation and you figure out what works and what doesn't work, and you continue to gain momentum that way. So that's how initially, when first getting in the sales game, it was for me regarding training.
Mm-hmm. And at that point, how did you get into, or how did you meet Grant Cardone? How did you get in that position of working with him?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, this is outside of Grant Cardone. Inside of Grant Cardone, we train every single day. But um, I had a good friend who was working with me at a different job, who happened to get a job with this guy. We all know now who Grant Cardone is, and didn't really know who he was. You know, used a little bit of the content that my friend had gave to me, or given to me rather. I went to number one in that company though, and I knew that it worked, but didn't really follow the guy until I got into the organization and had to go through a strong vetting process in order to accomplish that. Pretty thankful in that sense, because I mean, you fall into an ecosystem and an environment within the office today that is bar none. It's you can't explain it unless you're in it. It's like the New England Patriots of sales, to be honest with you. That's what it is.
You know, of course, anyone can listen to, you know, watch his YouTube videos, consume his content, consume everything, right? And they can learn a lot. Let's be fair. They can learn a lot. But now that you're in his circle, in his organization, I feel that you have nuances and, you know, golden nuggets that really, that you can really understand compared to other people just looking outside, looking in, right? Now, what's something that really intrigued you? What was different about the processes that he instilled in the team?
Yeah, well, I would say that, you know, it's directing it straight to the point. I mean, that's number one. There's no fluff. We solve a problem. That's what sales is. You're solving a problem. That's the only reason why anybody buys anything in the first place, is to solve a problem. That's why the listeners have iPods in, or that's why they're on a computer, on a cell phone. I mean, all those things, earpods rather, that all those things are solving problems. So realizing that you're identifying and solving a problem and being direct, that would be number one. But I mean, being around that guy, it's a whole different ballgame. I mean, he's always on. He never shuts off. Any sale is an opportunity. No sale left behind. It doesn't matter if it's a sale with one individual who's buying a pen, or Ashley Furniture, one of our clients, doing a $4 or $5 million deal. It all matters, everything. And that right there is huge. Just being a savage, man, being a scavenger, picking up any single opportunity and funneling it into a pipeline. So that type of mindset is huge. And that never shuts off. Never shuts off.
Now, in terms of sales, when I think about sales, you know, a lot of people can be, hey, you're a closer. You call someone, or you go to a meeting and you close a deal, or you run some sort of advertisement. You're good with copy, you're good with content creation, good with the ads and whatnot, good with retargeting, and you make a sale there. Now, at what aspect do you do sales? Because I know you have over $10 million worth of sales, but what is it exactly that you do?
Oh, I mean, we do. I mean, we have a marketing and advertising department of like 10 to 15 strong individuals, some of the top people you'll see in the entire planet, man. Pushing out ads, pushing out copies, and of course, we'll drive a number of opportunities via that way. But the bottom line is this: you have to have a strong product of offerings. We have thousands and thousands of different products that address a certain issue. And ultimately make us eligible, or allow for us to be eligible to help any single type of person, whether you got 2 cents or 20 million bucks. That's number one. Number two, any single person that buys or purchases any one of our products, they get funneled into our system. And that system is not just digital marketing and advertising. Yes, we do generate a lot of revenue via that methodology, but picking up the phone and dialing, the thing that no one wants to do. Someone buys a pen. They're a business owner. You upsell them from a $2 pen to a $140,000 contract with their entire organization for the next year. Being able to do that, that's what we specialize in. So yes, I, for instance, get in contact with most people via the phone. This thing right here, right? No one can see us. I'm waving it right now, but this thing, you know how to communicate, it's game over. Game over.
Now, is it because you sell high ticket items that you have to go on the phone, make it more personal, rather than if you just sell a product, you know, a generic product, you can run an ad on it. But if it's a high ticket item, people want to learn a lot more. They want more information. So does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
If you do a high ticket item, it's better
to put it on the
phone. Okay.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And listen, you know, it depends how detailed your product and your service is. If I'm selling IT, and I'm not saying I sell IT, but what I'm saying is if I'm selling IT to a $20 million business that has 14 locations, obviously, that's not going to be something that's the shooting out a small marketing and advertising campaign and telling them to purchase now. There's a whole lot more conversation that needs to be involved. The decision maker, multiple decision makers need to be in that deal. So yes, you are right. If it's a small product, small offering, yeah, that's very easy. But when we're talking about, you know, services, it's usually where you got to do via phone, via Zoom, and or face to face. And I mean, that would be the differentiator between the two.
Okay. Is it fair to say that you specialize in, you know, doing these phone calls and closing the deal, and you kind of know everything across sales, you know, advertising, you know, if you're a one-man squad here, are you able to do everything down to the advertising, doing the cold calls?
Yeah. Well, I've taken a number of courses in regards to that side of things and capturing and, you know, funneling those leads in. But the expertise, and that's outside, that's own personal growth and development. The expertise within the organization is the phone, man. The phone, picking up and dialing. Somebody has no idea you're going to call them, and you set an appointment and you do a demonstration and you close them. And if you don't close them, you follow up and you follow up and you follow up and you follow up until someone dies. I mean, that's honestly what it is, and until you close them. And so we can do it all. We can definitely do it all. And then being in the environment over at the office, man, I mean, you sit in the marketing and advertising department. You don't even have to you don't even have to know a lick of marketing and advertising. You sit in there for 4 weeks and you understand what you need to do it, because it's just so fast. It's happening right there. It's live. So
I mean, I don't know anything about sales, but let's kind of create a hypothetical block diagram here. Say you're new to sales, you have a new commission-based job, right? Selling high ticket items, right? Maybe the first thing would be, you know, being knowledgeable in the industry that you're in, right? Of course, if you don't know anything, how are you going to sell something, right? I think you have to believe in the product to sell it, right? And then the next step is to scout. Of course, you have to find who your audience is. And then from there, the next step will be calling. Now, in your expertise, in your experience, how did that block diagram step by step look like to be knowledgeable in the industry, scout people, and close the deal eventually?
Yeah, man. I mean, that's what we teach multi-billion-dollar organizations every single day. So a quick 1, 2, 3 scenario, you know, it's kind of hard to do that, but I'll give it a shot, man. I mean, the first things first is, yes, you gotta know your products and you gotta know your industry specifics, but that has nothing to do with being able to sell. You can know all the best product, or you could have all the best product knowledge and industry specific content memorizing the entire planet, but if you can't overcome an objection, if I'm not interested, who cares? And so yes, one is important, but I would say learning how to communicate is more important, because if you know how to communicate, it's over with. I keep saying that, and I've seen that. I've just seen it over and over and over again. After you know your product, after you know your service, the first things first is identifying what your ideal buyer profile is. Who is the type of person, who is the type of candidate that your product and your service can help out? I'm not going to reach out to somebody who's unqualified or a person that I can't solve a problem for. There's no urgency because there's no interest. I can't provide a solution, you know, even if they're not looking for it, there is no problem for them. You know, taking a look at where your ideal profile is, where they're landing, you know, are they on websites? Are they on Instagram posts? Are they on news feeds? Like really understanding who it is that you're going after. That's huge. That's number one. And then the reach out, the initial meet and greet. Then you have your fact finding stage. Then you have your overcoming objections within the fact finding stage. You got to have a proper cold call. There's a cold call script. You got to have it. You got to set a major claim. You got to set an intention. And your sole purpose is to qualify on that initial call and set an appointment that shows up. You then set an appointment if you can't do it right then and there, right? If you can't do it, that appointment, you need to confirm. There's different word tracks that you have to say to be able to confirm so that they do show up. Because it's one thing to close somebody on an appointment. It's another thing to close them on an actual contract, and both of those are closes. You know, there has to be an incredible follow-up strategy between initial point of contact, appointment set, and demo, right? Even if it's 45 days in between, you better be all over them like white on whites, right? Because you're fighting everybody else. We're fighting Santa Claus, we're fighting the Easter Bunny, we're fighting whatever the hell's going on out there in the world. And out of sight, out of mind, if they ain't thinking with you, they ain't gonna show up to your appointment, bar none. You know, they show up to the appointment, you better have a pretty strong presentation. You better know how to have trial closes. You better know what's going to be the most important thing for you to cover on that call. You better have a tailored demo based off what they tell you, right? And then you get into the close, man. You better close and you better go. And selling and closing are two different skill sets, right? You have to be the best seller in the world, but if I don't know how to close, I have nothing in my bank account. And your ability to close is directly proportional to what's in your bank account in any part of life. So you got to make sure that you know how to close. And once you're in the close, you don't go back to selling. You stay in the close, right? If you close them there, great. If you don't close them there, then you got to follow up, close. That's the process, man. In a nutshell. There's a ton more to it, but that's the overall outline.
And so before you make a pitch, so you have to build up rapport, right? You build up rapport and you do that via meeting, right? That's what you're trying to do initially.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm calling you, I gotta get an appointment, but you don't know anything about me. Right? You don't even know I exist. So how could I set an appointment? And rapport has nothing to do with talking about the damn weather. No one cares about your dog. Nobody. It is straight to the point. Rapport is information.
Okay.
In order to build certainty, you got to provide people with information. The more information you provide, the more certain somebody can become. So initial rapport is saying who you are, where you're calling from, why you're calling, setting the intention, but then going into fact-finding questions on that initial call. So that's how you build rapport, because you only have about 5 to 6 seconds on the phone before somebody either hangs up or stays engaged. Right?
You can't really sugarcoat anything. Got to be direct, straight to the point.
It's got to be straight to the point, man.
Okay. And, of course you have mad experience on this. Now, when you first started, what were the biggest L's that you took, and, what did you learn from that?
I think this guy's name, I'm not even going to say his name because, I don't want to say his name, but I remember calling this, I remember calling this one guy a major VP of sales of a massive organization. And I was brand new into sales at that level. And he stopped me and he said, "Hey, are you new?" And I said, "I am." And he's like, "Hey, listen, let's go over this again." And he actually taught me what I should have done to set the appointment with him. And then he had me read a book. I forget the name of the book. And so I read it. And this was just on a random cold call. And to this day, that was 3.5 years ago. To this day, we're still friends on LinkedIn and we still talk to each other. And it was a good learning experience. There's what we call are whales, people who are real big time players, guys running 300, 400, 500, $600 million per year in revenue businesses. It's a whole different type of person to communicate with. And so, I got schooling from him right away. I'll never forget that call. It was a good call, man.
Now, is it because he felt that he was being sold to? And if so, is it important that when you do make, when you start the process of a sell, do you make sure that you make it as best as possible, that you're not selling something, that you're trying to help them rather?
Yeah, it wasn't that he thought I was selling him. It was that I wasn't confident in what I was saying. I was completely brand new. It was like robotic as opposed to talking to him. But listen, you need to tell people you're selling them. Like that's what you're doing. It's like saying, "Hey, I'm not going to drive the car," but you get in the car and you drive. Like no. You need to let people know, "Hey, man, I'm looking to get you into our new product, our new service. I know you weren't expecting the call, and that's exactly why I'm calling, right? I want to be respectful of your time, but I got to find out one question. Do you currently have a vehicle? Yes, I do. Excellent. You roll them on into the deal. Like, yeah. You tell people you're going to sell them, but setting the intention, man. You got to set the intention. But back to the original question, it wasn't because he thought I was selling them. It was because when you're in front of a novice in anything. So he knew. So it wasn't a disrespect type thing. It was a hey, let me help this kid out real quick. And it was a real good call. Good call.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty dope. He probably did. He end up getting that sell in the end, or not?
No. He wasn't the guy. He wasn't the ultimate decision maker. You always got to get the ultimate decision maker. But I learned more. I mean, that call was more valuable than even if I got the sale.
Now, how do you, if you encounter a gatekeeper, how do you surpass that? How do you get through the gatekeeper and to the person that you actually need? I'm pretty sure you get this question a lot, right? But how do you get past the gatekeeper if you do encounter one?
I mean, there's so many different ways, man. But I mean, coming in with a high level of certainty, right off the bat, it's all about your opening, man. And this is what's taught from everything that I'm talking about is what we learn at Grant Cardone. We have to train every single day. We have to role play every day. We make hundreds and hundreds of phone calls every single day. You have no idea. But all this stuff that I'm talking about stems from obviously the man, the myth, GC. But getting past the gatekeeper, I mean, coming in with a certain level of tonality. If you say, "Hi, what's going on? This is Mike Schill. Is Martha available?" Well, obviously, you don't sound like you should be calling that organization in the first place. So, of course, the gatekeeper is going to say, "Who are you?" It depends as far as how you get in, as opposed to saying, "Hey, what's going on? It's Mike. Can you throw me out to Martha? Let her know I'm on the line." Whole different ballgame. Just right there, just that tonality. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh man, maybe this person is supposed to call. So it's how you attack. But if you can't get past the gatekeeper, you got to treat the gatekeeper as a buyer, man. You got to treat the gatekeeper as a buyer. The gatekeeper is probably one of the most important people in the entire organization, and their job is to prevent people like you to get through. Mm-hmm. So you got to actually work, right? Hey, listen, I know they're not available. I know they're not expecting a call, but if they were available later on today, what time might that be? Oh, I can't tell you that. Oh, no, I know that. But if you could tell me that, what time would it be? Right? They're gonna play games with you, but you got to build a relationship with them. Okay. You got to treat them like the buyer.
Say they play hard to get. Do you always go back and follow up? I've heard time and time again that you're not going to make a sell the first time around. It might take the second follow up, third follow up, maybe even the ninth follow up to eventually get that sell. You got to be persistent. Is that true in your case as well?
100%, man. Only 2% of all sales in the entire planet are ever made on the first point of contact. 2%.
So that makes 3%. So you're telling me that once you get past the gatekeeper, right? Once you reach the head honcho, whoever that person is, he or she, once you get the meeting, once you pitch the services, they say no, you follow up again with another meeting, and so on and so forth?
Oh, no, I follow you. You never, ever, ever leave a meeting without setting another time for the next appointment, ever. And I'm following, I'm all over people like white on rice. I'm sending case studies, testimonials. I'm doing selfie videos. I'm doing cold FaceTimes. I'm getting my other clients to call them. We're sending them pizzas, right? We'll pull out a slice of one of the pizzas, and we'll say, hey, we're the missing piece to the pie. We'll send candies. We'll send, bro, you have no idea. You have no idea.
Do you have to low-key be spammy here then?
No. I mean, we have their information. We have their cell phone numbers. That's one thing you always get. Hey, real quick, what's a good text number I can reach you at when you're setting the appointment? Oh yeah, it's X, Y, and Z. Boom. Now you got your cell phone number. Obviously, you follow up in a professional manner, but listen, man. The only reason why somebody wouldn't say yes is, number one, if you can't solve the problem. Number two, if they're not confident enough in themselves that they're making the right decision. In order for them to be confident, man, you got to continue to be certain. Mm-hmm. If you're certain in your product, you'll follow up.
Let's talk about that certainty, though. So say for a fact, a company, they need X, Y, and Z. They have a problem, and they have the solution. And maybe that company doesn't know what that solution is, but for a fact, right? Since you have that upper hand of that leverage, that knowledge that you do have a product that can solve their problem, once you know that you're in, right? That there's an opportunity here, and no matter what,
Mm-hmm.
they cannot say no because you have a solution to the problem at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But you may have to continue to prove and prove and prove that you do, or get to the person that makes a decision on that. I mean, listen, we're in sales cycles. I've been in the sales cycle for 3.5 years before I closed the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter, you know. If you could solve
And
the problem, you'll be all right.
and is it fair to say, if you go from IT to healthcare to insurance, whatever it is,
Same exact thing.
Same exact thing. So it's the same sort of template, maybe different wording, of course, different knowledge, but you can still use the same sort of structure to get those sales across, right?
Let me use this analogy. It doesn't matter if you're in human biochem, algebra, right? Trigonometry, physics 2 calc base, right? Or mathematics 101. When you see an addition sign, you add. That's it. When I hear I'm not interested, it doesn't matter if I'm selling tap dance classes, right? I'm selling $140 million real estate acquisition, or you're trying to get a date with a female. I'm not interested is I'm not interested. That's it. That's it. Same exact thing.
Wait, but when you say I'm not interested, I mean, you still persist, right? I mean,
Oh, 100%. But I'm saying the way that you handle it is the exact same thing. So it doesn't matter what space, it doesn't matter what industry, it doesn't matter anything.
Okay. But at what point do you know for a fact that, this person is serious? They're saying, no, I got to, move away, go along. Is there ever a point?
Can you solve a problem for the person?
Well, say you do.
Yeah.
But you can't convince them. Like, say you can't convince them for whatever reason, and they're just, no. You just continue until they eventually say yes?
I mean, yeah. And you don't follow up the exact same way. Maybe I follow up via phone call, then I follow up via text message, and I follow up via email. And it's not necessarily ask, but hey, can you buy this? Can you buy this? Can you buy this? It's give, then receive. That's your follow-up. So give information, ask for the sale.
Okay.
You got to be strategic in the way that you follow up.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk about, how do you find something that's tangible here? And by that, I mean, how do you know you have the solution to a problem? It's really hard because, you're not working within that organization, whoever you're trying to sell to, but first you got to find out what the problem is in their organization. You find out a solution, and then you have to pitch it to them. How do you find the problem to a different organization?
Well, I mean, for us, we sell business development and sales training, and we teach CEOs how to take their businesses doing 2 million and how to get to 2 billion. Every single business has a problem with sales. They can all increase revenue.
Okay.
Now, where can they increase revenue? That's where you kind of figure that out. But we increase sales by 30% in under 90 business days. Let me ask you this. Do you have a sales team? No. Do you have anybody who's customer facing? Yes. Who is in charge of revenue generation for your organization? X, Y, and Z. Great. We can increase your sales by 30% under 90 days. It's just you know what it is. If I sell a certain type of notebook, obviously I'm going to get in contact with schools, with students, with stores that would have something like that in it. Like, you kind of understand who your ideal buyer profile is. You got to know who your buyer profile is.
Mm-hmm. Now, I kind of want to shift this convo because, of course, you say your expertise is in, going on the phone and basically doing a lot of face-to-face stuff, right? And of course, you have access to a wonderful team with Grant Cardone in the sales team. Now, a lot of people listening, I think most of them are e-commerce entrepreneurs where they rely on ads and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, you might have some experience in this or a lot of nuances, golden nuggets,
Mm-hmm.
but I think a lot of the principles that you applied here, even though they're more of a face-to-face
Mm-hmm.
phone call communication-based style, you're going to still apply that principle. You have to know your audience and
Mm-hmm.
always follow up, and you can always do that via retargeting.
Of course.
So if you're into e-commerce, is it basically the exact same analogy kind of.
Yeah. And you know, I do that too as well. And we had some pretty significant success over the past 6 to 7 months in that realm, in that space too. And it's the exact same type of thing. That call to action, you know, that's huge. You got to have a call to action on any single type of landing page. And or if you got a one pager, you know, call now, DM now, you know, email now, right? There has to be one call to action on one thing that you send out. There can't be 18 call to actions, because people are just going to get lost in it and they're going to bounce off that and go to something else. And then your bounce rate is horrible, whether it's the landing page or whether it's your actual site. You know, capturing that leads information is huge too. Those emails and whatnot, obviously that's data, that's content, that's your data that you can go ahead and sell if you generate a massive list. So remember, the most important thing you can have is somebody's contact information, and you keep that and you repurpose that and you retarget to them in different scenarios. And of course, based off your marketing campaigns and your marketing strategies, you can stay in front of them, right? Stay in front of them and stay in front of them to the point where, you know, out of sight, out of mind, and vice versa. If I'm always seeing the new iPhone, hey, it's pretty safe to say that eventually I'm going to buy the new iPhone. Mm-hmm. You know, so you got to just stay in front of your people and make sure you foster the relationships with the people who've already bought your product or service. Don't forget about those people either. Yes. What's it called? Customer acquisition is number one in anything that you do. Number one. But customer retention is equally as important. Remember that. So don't worry about just your current client base. The money's in the people who have no idea who you are, but vice versa. You got to worry about them all.
So you're telling me that once you close someone, right, you don't set it and forget it. You kind of still keep some rapport. You still hit them up, still get meetings, and then eventually down the line, if there's another problem, you attack that, right?
Yeah, I'm going to remarket and repurpose to them, because I mean, who knows? Maybe your product or service is a cyclical sale. Maybe every single November they need something, or it's warm or winter season, or every change of guard, or every new school year, whatever it is. It can be a cyclical sale. So, you know, people are creatures of habit. If they do something once, they're probably going to do it again. So if they buy from you the first time and it was an easy, streamlined process, there's customer service, and there's a nice steady follow-up there's a nice steady follow-up after they close. 9 times out of 10, they're going to come back and do the same thing all over again.
Yeah, I feel that. And, you know, say someone wants to start in sales. What's one job that one can get started? Maybe they can work at Verizon, you know, at a telecommunications company.
Yeah, cellular sales. I would highly suggest cellular sales. You know, copy machines, Xerox. You know, some of those initial, or those opportunities rather, are good. And listen, you sell yourself when you walk into Publix. You know, people don't realize that, but you sell yourself every single day. Like we're both selling ourselves on this podcast. People don't they don't realize it. It's how you're talking, how you're communicating. You know, you walk and you talk to somebody, you're in front of somebody, you're selling yourself. You are your own business. So it's not necessarily when am I selling, when am I not selling? You're always selling, but an actual sales role and job, yeah. I like telecommunications or cellular sales or maybe pest control, maybe solar. You know, door knocking. Man, if you can get that down, you can get anything you want.
Yeah. If you were, you know, to travel back in the future and you have the knowledge right now, and you were to tell yourself, you know, if you were to find your younger self first starting at sales, what are some core principles that you would tell your younger self that will really help you out in the future? Or even short term?
And you mean as it relates to sales?
Yeah, to sales, like to really improve it in sales. What are some core principles that you would tell yourself back with the experience you have now?
Yeah, I would say find your own leads. Don't rely on the leads that are given to you. It's easier to close the leads that you find because you actually can pinpoint and identify the right type of person. That's huge. And then consistency. Consistency is huge. You got to do it at all times. You got to be in front of somebody all the time. And then Grant Cardone's number one thing that he preaches, which is so big, is that the number one thing to do for success is to advertise. Those who are the most known have the most money. Everybody knows who LeBron James is. There you go. Right. So advertising yourself, getting known.
So is that what you do? You work on your personal brand?
Oh, all the time, man. Yeah.
So in terms of your personal brand, what do you do? Do you just post photos of your lifestyle as often as possible so people can see you, or do you kind of post value? Or what's your strategy here?
Yeah, both. I mean, lifestyle is huge, but value is number one. And then being able to connect with people on an emotional level, that's huge. Always being on social media, multiple streams, that's big. But also promoting yourself in the local community, going to mixers, going to networking events, getting connected with the top people in a given space, given sector, given vertical. Man, it goes above and beyond just social media, that is probably one of the easiest ways to get in front of people. But I've been to a number of networking events, a number of things such as that, and met some pretty cool people, pretty incredible people, and those relationships are equally as important.
So you can't be afraid to show your face. You can't just rely on social media. You got to go to actual events.
Of course. You're crazy. You're crazy. I mean, hey, listen, it's one thing speaking on Instagram. It's another thing speaking to somebody face to face. You can't hide behind a phone too long. Mm-hmm. Eventually, you're gonna have to actually get in front of somebody. So,
for sure. And just about to provide context here, you're also a co-producer at Dash Radio, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Now what is that? What is that exactly?
Yeah, so that's internet radio. It's Dash Radio. The home base is out in LA. We've had a show on there for about 2.5 years. Shout out Vince Valhalla. If he ever sees us, that's my man, that's my partner over there. Man, we interview artists and entertainers, an inside look into the industry, and put together a mix as well. And that airs every single Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you listen to Crib Dash Radio, the city station, man. We drop good content each and every week, and our sole core principle on that show is to give insight and to make people feel good with the music, with the mixes that we put together as well. So that's what that's all about. Mm-hmm. That radio gets about 10 million listeners a week. So it's a pretty significant thing to be on. And obviously you're growing and you're developing your brand, being attached to a brand like that. And I'm thankful that we've got a long relationship with them, So
you said it's on the radio, and it's also a podcast. You can find it anywhere on Apple, Spotify.
Yeah, right? So it's on the radio. You actually have to go on to the radio at that specific time because it's live, to go ahead and listen to it. But what we're actually going to be doing is, and I've been talking to Vince about it, is doing something special and repurposing those episodes and putting them out there in somewhat of a series. So that's a project that's on the way, actually as we speak, and definitely be on the lookout for that. That'll be awesome. We got a ton of episodes, a ton of content, and why not give it to the people again? Why only do it once, right? So. Yeah,
I was gonna say, of course, anyone can listen live, but if you have it pre-recorded, it's gonna be out there forever, and anyone can listen.
Mm-hmm.
tune in whenever they want, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Wait, so how did that project start? Is it a passion project?
It was, man, it, yeah, we it was an idea with another gentleman that's no longer a part of the whole deal right now, but he had an idea and he wanted to put together a show, but believe it or not, he couldn't get to the decision makers to get on Dash Radio. And I used everything that I do in sales to get the show. And we got the show and we just kept it running. And so that's literally how I got in it, attacked, and it kept going and going until we get to the president of Dash Radio, until we got an in into the actual location over there in LA. And we had a contact, and I just followed up and followed up and followed up, got to the next person and got to the next person, and ultimately got the spot. And we never let it go from there. So I use sales to get the show. That's what I used.
Do you feel that, as a football player, I'm pretty sure you're used to a lot of trash talk. You get a lot of, you develop a thick skin. So when you go into sales, I'm pretty sure people curse you out. They give you mean looks maybe, but you're used to that because you're a ball player. You talk trash. You've been there, done that all your life, right? So you think it's easier for you to kind of, take a hit?
You got to understand that it's not personal. When people are saying crazy things, they're usually talking about themselves, but they're taking it out on you. So, man, I don't take it to heart. I know I can make their lives better if I solve their problem, or if I solve the problem that they have with their product and service. So emotions are good. Emotions are good. They're not bad. They're not bad.
Do you know how to read someone? Like maybe, kind of like a poker player. You can kind of tell what they kind of want.
Yeah, you can. You get to a point where you can predict a certain situation, but I'm not necessarily into the reading. I just ask proper questions. You want good answers, you ask good questions. The caliber of your answers is directly proportional to the quality of the questions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you work with somebody. You lead them down a path with the questions that you ask.
Yeah. Now, besides actually practicing sales to get better, what resources do you recommend anyone listening to improve their sales processes?
Every single person. And yes, I'm trying to sell every single person who's listening to this thing. Yes, sir. Should go to Cardone University. Get on Cardone University. It's the world's #1 business development and sales training platform in the entire planet, based off utilization and ROI. Right now, November, what is it? November 17th, 2020. The price point is $97 a month. Now, it could change after this, and that's why I'm marking the date. It's $97 a month, no contract. You get master certified in sales and business development. I would also suggest reading the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone, and also read If You're Not First, You're Last. It's an incredible book too. Incredible book. You sync up with that content. You read those books. You'll really get a strong understanding, at least some framework regarding what it takes to sell and what to do to be successful when doing it. So.
Yeah, I put that in the show notes. You got to send me that link,
Yeah, man, that's easy.
So I'll put that in the show notes. So were you the type of person that, before getting into sales, maybe even during, of course you have a team and you can always learn from them, but do you always go on podcasts, read more books to kind of learn to become a better salesman?
Always. And not just to be a better salesman, but to be a better communicator and to a different level of thinking. Every single day, man. Every single day. You have to. You're crazy if you don't. You
never stop learning, right?
You always got to push. Always got to connect. You always got to connect with new content.
Now, you said it was a process to get the job that you're in now with Grant Cardone. So if anyone, wants, maybe it's your dream to work with Grant Cardone, how do you get a job with him?
Man, you, you go to careers@grantcardone.com and you submit a resume, and you got to send a 30-second selfie video in, identifying why that organization should bring you on, and the vetting process starts. That's really what you got to do.
So at that point, you got to sell yourself now.
Then
right?
You got to sell yourself.
So it's not just a resume here. You got to set a 30-second video, and in that 30 seconds, you have to, sell yourself.
Yeah, you got to sell yourself. You got to sell yourself.
How competitive is it though? How many applicants do you guys get, and then how many?
Hundreds. I mean, look at the brand of Grant. Look at the brand of 10X. It's worldwide. So we get people all across the world. Thousands and thousands of people reaching out to us for job opportunities.
Yeah. So you travel a lot? Like, how many offices do you guys have?
No. I'm out of the main office. I have a tour of Florida here in Miami. We have a couple other offices as well, but I'm out of the main office. And do I travel a lot? Yeah, I travel a lot, but as far as for work is concerned, not too much necessarily for work. Primarily out of the home office, home base. Yeah. All
right. And I just want to ask you this one question. Maybe people are interested in applying. So what is one tip? Of course, there's a YouTube video, for example, Elon Musk, he has a favorite interview question. So if you know that, you can have an upper hand, maybe. But if you're applying for a Grant Cardone, what's one thing that maybe everyone should know? Maybe one little golden nugget here that can kind of give them the upper hand to get the job.
When they give you a direction in your hiring process, make sure you follow that direction. Don't do any more and don't do any less. Because if you can't follow simple directions, in regards to sending a 30-second selfie video in as opposed to a 31-second selfie video in, they're never going to bring you on board.
So every second counts, and that goes down to sales. You can't sugarcoat anything, be direct.
Be direct and follow directions. Okay. If it's said to do X, Y, Z, do X, Y, and Z, but don't do something else.
So don't be extra.
If you can't, don't be extra because then you can't follow directions. So why would they bring you on board if you can't follow initial directions?
Got it.
Yeah.
So Mike here, I think, bro, this was definitely a dope podcast. I've never spoken to any salesman like this. Never got this many tactics because I haven't done sales at all, but it's really cool to learn that aspect because of course people can be stuck between just branding, just marketing, and then their sales too. And as an entrepreneur, I think you kind of need to know, not be an expert in everything, but know how to do sales, know how to do branding, etc. Right? So So if people want to find you, hit you up, learn more about sales, where can they find you, Mike?
Yeah, find me on Instagram and Twitter. Those are my primary platforms. It would be at Mike, Mike, Schill, S as in Sam, C as in cat, H as in hat, ILL for Larry _ at Mike Schill _ shoot a follow, shoot a DM. If you come from this ecosystem, man, definitely get a follow back. Any way I can help and or be of a resource, you let me know. And again, that same at Mike Schill _ again, at Mike, Mike, SCHILL _ is the same on Twitter.
Got it. So I'll put that in the show notes. So if anyone clicks on that, they can easily find you and DM you.
All right, Mike? Absolutely, brother. I appreciate you.
It was a pleasure, bro. All right.